Thanks for joining us here on CTV News Channel. I'm Renee Rogers. Well, prosecutors in California have laid criminal charges against 5 people in connection with the death of Canadian-American actor Matthew Perry.
These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing was risking great danger to Mr. Perry, but they did it anyways.
Perry died at his Los Angeles home last October from a ketamine overdose. Today, criminal charges were laid against 5 people. The defendants include 2 doctors and an assistant to Perry, who were allegedly part of a criminal network that distributed large quantities of the prescription drug to Perry and others. And Perry's family say they remain heartbroken by his death, but it helps to see law enforcement take this case seriously. And with me today to discuss the charges is criminal defense attorney Adante Pointer. Mr. Pointer, sir, thank you for being here. Let me ask you, what is your reaction to this? Is this an open and shut case?
Well, there's a lot of investigation that went into this case before the announcement of these charges. And no case is truly open and shut because all of the cases have wrinkles that can take place and twists and turns. However, it is pretty clear from the evidence that's been presented so far to the public that investigators not only have these people linked to selling these drugs to Mr. Perry, but also their motivation in terms of trying to squeeze him for every dollar they could. This is purely greed and profit and has nothing to do with treating his addiction issues.
Right. The defendants are accused of taking advantage of Perry's addiction. So how do you think the defense will build up its case against that?
Well, a part of this is, the defense is going to say, if he had these addiction issues, he may have taken ours, he may have taken someone else's. How do you link me to actually the specific drugs that he overdosed on? However, and once again, I'm sure that, and from my understanding, there are people who have already spoken to investigators and have cut deals. And I imagine those will be the key witnesses that'll make that causal connection.
Right. And that sort of leads me into my next question. What happens next for the 5 people being charged? As you've mentioned, a few people have already cut plea deals. So where does that leave things? What does that mean? Sure.
So although people have already taken deals and made agreements with prosecutors to either provide information or even to testify, the remaining defendants who have not cut a plea deal or negotiated some type of conclusion of this case will have their full due process rights recognized. And so they'll have an opportunity to challenge these allegations. They'll have an opportunity to have a preliminary hearing and force witnesses to get on the stand and testify and essentially identify what they did to contribute to Mr. Perry's death. So this could turn into a full-blown trial. And so everyone should buckle up their seats because no telling how this trial and this criminal prosecution will actually play out.
When you look at the fact that a few people have cut deals already, what does that tell you?
Well, typically what it means is that the prosecution had enough evidence and targeted particular criminal suspects or defendants and thought that they would be the linchpin in order to securing a guilty verdict or conviction. And so with that being said, it definitely strengthens the prosecution's hand and their case. And so I would not be surprised that once all of the facts and the defendants have a chance to kind of look at the records and the reports, that there'll be more plea deals coming.
Could a case like this perhaps make other people who, have loved ones who have died of an overdose want to look more into, who provided them with the drugs? Could this open up a bigger can of worms here?
I think so. We're seeing this happen more often and more frequently within our society, where we're not just mourning the death of someone who may have been abusing drugs or using drugs, but we're also going after people who were selling it, not at the point of sale, but retroactively after someone has passed away. We saw that with Michael Jackson, where a doctor was criminally charged, prosecuted, and convicted and lost their medical license. And we've seen it even with the actor from The Wire, Michael K. Williams. they prosecuted the people who sold him heroin. So this is not something that's a precedent or the first time doing this. This is increasingly starting to happen, and we might see this more frequently, not just for the celebrities and the superstars, but for your average everyday person as well.
Very interesting stuff. Thank you very much for being here with us, Mr. Pointer. Adante Pointer, criminal defense attorney. Thank you again for your time.